Alfred de Zayas is a former UN Special Rapporteur who joins us from Geneva. The warning coming from the UN Secretary General is obviously something that we have known for quite some time, but really this is, I'm guessing, should be directed to the ones who hold the most nuclear weapons. And at the top of the list, obviously, you got Russia, and you also have the United States. But it seems like they are in some kind of race. You have the UN that has time and again recently announced increase in nuclear technology in terms of warheads or weapons. Even the U.S. President Donald Trump recently in an interview saying that we got something going on in terms of modernization that is out of this world. How can this then be decreased in terms of the danger that it poses?
Well, it can be decreased if we stigmatize those who are saber rattling. And it's clear that a nuclear war cannot be won, therefore it must not be fought, and it's ridiculous to be wasting billions of dollars and billions of rubles and billions of yuans in stocking up the nuclear arsenal. Already back 25 years ago, the Human Rights Committee of the United Nations condemned this in its general comments on the right to life, on Article 6 of the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and they said that the production and stockpiling of nuclear weapons was in itself a violation of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. We have, of course, for 50 years already, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, but some nuclear states, including Israel, India, and Pakistan, are not states parties to the NPT. And we have, since 3 years, it was adopted by the General Assembly, this new treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which aims at nuclear disarmament, total nuclear disarmament. It has been signed by 85 states. It has been ratified by 46. So we're 4 ratifications away from its entry into force, because it's required that there be 50 states parties to it. Of course, no NATO state has signed or ratified it. And I have no great expectations that this treaty by itself can make the difference. But it's also a question of perception. It's a question of realizing that we only have this one planet. And it's not just the survival of any one single state, but it's the survival of humanity. And 75 years ago, the United States obliterated Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Certainly a crime against humanity. Certainly one of the most horrendous crimes committed in the history of mankind. In any event, we should go back to fundamentals, go back to the United Nations Charter, go back to the commitment to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. We must insist that the United States and Russia extend for 5 more years the New START Treaty on the limitation of weapons, of all nuclear weapons. And I think that Antonio Guterres has proven to be a good leader. He has the right priorities. He knows that we need disarmament for development. We seem to have forgotten the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Well, imagine if we had a gradual 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% reduction in military expenditures, what that would mean for the struggle against COVID-19. It is cynical beyond words when some governments start talking about increasing their military budgets and about the arms race, when what is necessary is to have international solidarity in fighting common threats and common problems such as COVID. Other pandemics, I think it's not the only pandemic. I mean, we have problems of HIV/AIDS and of malaria and of Ebola, and even here and there's an outbreak of the bubonic plague. So what we need is much greater support through the United Nations agencies, notably the World Health Organization, and I hope that it will be a signal for the world when this treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons enters into force. As I said, we're only 4 ratifications away from its entry into force, so it will be symbolic, same as the Non-Proliferation Treaty has been symbolic. I would hope that the Declaration on the Human Right to International Solidarity, which was drafted by the UN Special Rapporteur on International Solidarity, Virginia Dandan. It was presented to the Human Rights Council, and it's there. It's been, well, more or less forgotten, filed away. But if you read it, and you can click on the internet and do Declaration on the Right to International Solidarity, you would see that that is exactly what the world needs today. A consciousness that we are all one human family, and that we must cooperate if we want to survive.
Thank you very much for that. Alfred de Zayas, former UN Special Rapporteur there, talking to us from Geneva.